Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Uh, in this video, we are going to see how we can create the CRUD operations without web API. In our previous video tutorial, we have seen how we can develop these CRUD operations using web API and different database first approach. But in this video, we are going to see how we can develop this without web API. So here I have opened already what we have developed in the previous video tutorial. If you haven't watched that video, I'll request you to watch that. The link is given in the description. Now here if you see we have created this using CRUD operation, but here if you see we have this different layers, like the Blazor app is there, then the entire logic is in different class library, then we have the API, then we have the models. Okay, but what we are going to do is now all this into a single Blazor app without this API. Okay, so what let's add a new Blazor application inside the same solution. So add new project, and we'll select Blazor server app, and we'll name it as Blazor 1, and click on next. And okay, .NET 5 I think I have opened. Open with 2022. So I've opened it again in Visual Studio 2022 because there was no option for .NET 6. So it's loading. Fine. So in this Blazor app 1, we'll add a new project. So add a new project. And we'll select Blazor server app. Next. And we'll name it as Blazor ONE1 .NET 6 and create. Okay. So here I have the Blazor 1, and I'll set this Blazor 1 as the startup project. Fine. And we'll delete this data, and we'll delete this fetch data, and from the program file we'll delete it of services and this data. All good. Now here we are going to add three libraries, three NuGet packages, and manage NuGet packages. First one will be Microsoft Entity Framework Core. Second one will be tools. So these three packages we have already added in our demo API, this demo models. Okay, but now we want everything into this single project, so we are adding it again in this Blazor 1. And we have SQL Server. Fine. Now here we have created this custom models and models. So but here in this Blazor 1 we'll add a new folder. Add a new folder and we'll name it as DB objects, database objects. And in this database object we'll execute our package manager command, Blazor1. So we are going to use this command. The scaffold DB context server will be your SQL server, database name, trusted connection, and this package, NuGet package we are using, and the output directory is DB objects. So copy it and simply paste it here and execute it. So this will generate the database objects. Fine. Now if you see this, here we have the connection string and a warning. So we'll comment off both lines because we'll be taking the connection string from our program app settings. Fine. So on this index page, we'll be removing all this survey prompt and hello world. And we'll be creating one folder with the name models. And in these models, we are going to copy these two things, employee and response model, and put it here. And we'll simply change it to Blazor 1. Blazor 1 dot models. So what we have done here is this: we have copied two classes. We have an employee class and another one we have a response model. That's it, nothing else. Fine. So we have our DB objects ready. We have our models. Now one thing we need is we need a service where we can write our entire logic. So for that, we'll be adding a service. But if you see this service which is there in this Blazor 1, Blazor app 1, here we are using this employee service and we have this HTTP client to call our API. If you see here, we are mentioning the path of the API. But in this case, now everything is in the same project, Blazor 1. So we don't need the HTTP client anymore. But we need to have a service which can interact with our data DB context and get the data. So we'll be creating these two same services again, but we'll be changing the content. So in this, I'll create a folder in Blazor 1, add a new folder, and we'll name it as services. And inside this, we'll paste two service, EMP service and this one. So here I'll name it as Blazor 1. And this will also be the namespace will be Blazor 1. Okay, and we won't be using this. So I'll just remove off all the methods from this class. Everything is empty. I go in this one. Here also everything is empty. I'll remove the error one also. So we have a pretty empty service, EMP service. Now let's go to the index page. And on this index page, we'll copy all this content. I'll explain it once again what is there in this page. I'll copy everything and paste it on index.razor. Fine. So we have this for namespace and everything. So here I have this IAMP service, and this one we will name it as Blazor 1 services and Blazor 1 models. Okay, we are just changing the path. So everything now refers to this model folder and this services. Okay, and also okay, this is fine. Now if we go down here, I have this employee. Okay, this employee is we have created already in our models folder. If you see here, we have an employee. Okay, and we are getting the employees. Okay, so we have this get employees, add new employee, all these four methods are there, and only this these four methods we have to create in the employee service. But we have skipped this demo API. There's no API now. So what we have to do is like we have to skip this API and we have to directly go in this business logic and copy the content from here. So I'll just minimize all the four methods and I'll copy this because we are not using HTTP anymore. So we simply want our Blazor 1 app to directly use the service and put it here. So here if you see, we need the employee DB context. For that we will be using Blazor 1.db objects path. Fine. And this employee service, Okay, this is the constructor name, EMP service. So inside the constructor we inject it. Then we need the response model. So for that we are using models folder. Fine. Now if you see, all the errors are gone, and we'll go to the interface also from the logic layer and copy these four methods and paste it in the employee service. Fine. So I have all the pages done for me. Now if I go and see the index.razor page, I'll be getting these errors, get employees. Okay, go to the implementation of it. I have this get employee, but it is returning a list of employee info. Okay, so what I'll have to do is I'll have to loop through and get a list of employee. Now you can say like, why I've created this employee here, and because this database employee info over here. But in case I want to add some validations like this name, company are required fields, then in that case I cannot use this employee info because it's part of the DB context of operations. Okay, so that for that I have created this. So the only thing we have to do is in the services, while getting the employee, while getting the employee, we have to uh, loop through each and simply create a list and return out. Was it here? I have a list of employee I have to create, and employees, and these employees I'll be adding this data. So here I'll be creating a new employee, and that I will add it in this list. And finally I'll be returning this employees list, because on the index what we are expecting a list of employee, not employee info. Definition wise both objects are same, but we are simply using it again. ID will be item.id, name will be item.name, employee dot years of experience will be this, employee dot company will be item dot company, and same definition we have to update it in this employee service. And while passing add new employee, we have to change it to employee, here also employee. So same goes in the employee service. So our get employee is perfectly fine. Now add new employee, we are expecting employee info. So info we cannot add it again, so we have to, here we have to create from employee, we have to assign it to employee info. Employee info, so here what we are doing, we are creating a local object of this employee info, and whatever we are receiving from the employee object, that we are simply assigning it here and adding it to the database. So same way we'll have to do for update employee. For update employee, this data, yeah, this looks fine. We'll have to change it here to employee. Okay, so this looks fine, and also in the delete also looks fine. Okay, so these methods are perfectly fine. So what we have done is, like in the previous tutorial we described like how we can uh, call from this using this API. But what we have done in Blazor 1 is like we have created this DB context here, models here, and one service. In previous application, there was a service in Blazor app 1, and there was a service in business logic as well. Now what we have come, and we have a API as a separate. Okay, this model is used, this type of thing is used when we have a large ERP, and where like the project is very very vast. So in future when we use this type of distributed, it becomes more flexible to upgrade in future as per the when as and when the requirement keeps on changing for any software. So but if we have a small application like 2 3 forms and we don't want to use this one, then we can simply use this way. Okay, now what we have to do is like if you see the index page, here we have this await. So we have to remove this await. Same goes for here. For await, we have to improve. Fine. So we have removed the await from all the locations. And here what we have done is like we have simply, we have this employee list and employee. So this employee we have binded to this edit form, and we have created this input text field, employee name, input text field, company, and at the end we have a button. So on click of the button we are calling this add new employee. So whatever data is being attached to this employee model, because we have mentioned it here in the edit form as a model, so that we are passing it to the method employee. Okay, so on click of it we are simply passing it, and on say on update, then we have a tabular structure below here with all this detail, 6 table headers, and we have a loop. Inside the loop we are using this ID. Then we have a 3 editable fields like name, company, experience, and 2 buttons, one for update and another for delete. So inside both this, we are in delete we are passing the employee ID, and in update we are passing the entire object, and that same parameter we are again forwarding it to the employee service. So this is what we have already covered this in our previous tutorial, so I'll not explain that much here. So as far as combining is concerned, now few settings need to be added here, like what happened to this employee service. We haven't done anything here, because if we see the Blazor app 1, then here we have added this employee service, then we have mentioned the HTTP client. Now we don't have a HTTP client anymore. So what needs to be done in that case? So for that, some different kind of settings need to be applied in this program. Okay, so we'll add those settings now. So here we are, what we are going to add now is, we'll go to this API. So here if you see in this demo API, we have two settings which we have already discussed. Here we have this add scoped, and we have the DB context. So we'll copy both, and then we'll go to the Blazor 1. In Blazor 1 program settings, just above this builder.build, we'll add these two settings. Okay, employee DB context. So here we can use this Blazor 1.db context and use SQL. For use SQL Server, we have this entity framework core. Okay, then now this employee service. Now the employee service we have renamed it as emp service. So we'll just make it emp service, and we'll change the, it refers to services folder of the Blazor. Now these two settings are only enough. If we see in our previous approach, distributed like approach, multi-layer approach, there we have added a different setting. For Blazor server we have a HTTP client and a singleton. Okay, but for API we have another thing. We have this DB context and add scoped. Okay, but here we have simply only one thing, only two lines we have added, add DB context and add scoped. Okay, so only these two things are enough. And also we'll copy the connection string from the API. So here we have the connection string, and we'll simply put it in the app setting of the single Blazor 1. Now this looks fine. Now let's run this only single application Blazor 1. So let's run it. Okay, so here you have it. Now here you see there's no API, and we have got the data from the database. Now let's add a new record. So we have got the new record. I think there's an error. Could not find alert. Okay, we haven't imported the script file. Okay, so that will copy from this one and put it in the web root, and also the host one. In host we have to refer it, so that also will copy, and pages host will add it. Now let's run it again. Now let's update it. So now we are getting the updated alert, and let's delete one of them. Okay, so we have got everything. Now everything works fine without API, and so we have discussed two approaches in our two of our videos. The first one is also different, and this one is also different. Both are unique, both have their own advantages and disadvantages. But if the project is small, it's very small, like 2 3 forms, then we can simply, instead of maintaining this much different layers, and we can simply accommodate everything in the same without API. Okay, fine. So that was it for today's video. See you in the next video. If you have any doubt, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please subscribe so that you get the latest update whenever there's a new video. Thanks for watching.